Hi, everyone. I'm Rhonda Ellis.
And I'm Melissa Sutton. And this is Cultivating a Home,
the podcast. This is a place where we will talk about what really matters, growing in our walk with Christ, building strong marriages, raising our children with intention, and creating peaceful, life-giving homes centered on Him.
We'll share practical encouragement, real-life stories, and biblical truth to help you cultivate a heart and home that reflects Jesus. New episodes are every Thursday, so let's step into today's conversation together. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for leaving the ratings and reviews. We appreciate it. You guys are leaving those 5-star reviews, and we really thank you so much for that. It's helping the word get out to other people about the podcast, and so just thank you so much. We are going to talk today about giving and about generosity, and we're going to be talking about teaching your children generosity. And most of the time when people think about the word generosity or the word giving, they think of finances, they think of financial giving, and that is, of course, true, that is a way to give. But I think in today's episode, we're going to be able to talk about a new perspective in giving and teaching your children generosity and looking for ways to give to others. But let's talk about financial giving at the beginning, and then we can move into other ways of being generous and looking for ways to help others. Rhonda, tell us just some ways that we can teach our children about giving and about generosity, and of course, always starting with ourselves first.
Ooh, okay, here we go. One of my favorite verses about teaching our children as well as ourselves in the area of giving is Proverbs 22:9. He who has a generous eye will be blessed, for he gives of his bread to the poor. That's such an incredible verse. That means a generous eye is that we are looking with the intent or with the desire to give. And that's really a beautiful thing to teach our kids, is to be looking at all of life as you go, as opportunities to share everything we have: money, time, talent, gifts, possessions, etc. So I'm really glad we're going to talk about a lot of these areas. But let's start with money. If we are looking for ways to give, that means we can start teaching our children at a very young age. And one way to do it is to gather your kids together and get them very excited. You're kind of doing the train ahead theory that we've talked about before, where you're teaching them ahead of time what the situation will be. And so you say, we have saved money, or it could be even depending on their age, they have saved money already for this idea. And that is, we are going to go to a restaurant, and I want us to quietly look around the restaurant and pick somebody that we will pay for. And that's what you do. If they've saved their money to do it, they will be so excited to contribute towards giving to someone else. And you want to start out these kind of situations by being anonymous, because you're teaching your children to give just because it was a kind thing to do and because God put an idea in their mind, and they're just simply obeying and experiencing the joy of releasing money to bless someone else. And so it's very exciting. We've done this many times as the kids were growing up. And even recently, the kids all pulled together money. And for Christmas, we went out to eat at a fancy restaurant at a nearby city and had a card pre-written with all of their signatures on it and lots of money in this that, like I said, all the families had contributed to. And we gave it to a waitress. Just like not anonymously, because she was there. And she cried, of course, and was blown away. But it was a joy to give. So when they're little, going back to that, they pick somebody, and then you tell the waitress we'd like to pay for them. And that's it. They're not thinking, I can't wait for the person to thank me. I can't wait to get credit for this. It is, we're giving because it's a joyous thing to do, and it's a privilege to walk with Christ and have Him put ideas on our mind. And so that's just a little way of starting to use money for that. Another little simple way is for us, if you battle with being stingy or being a penny pincher then this might help you. And I think it could really help anybody with people just simply learning to have a different perspective on finances is start with where you are, whatever your financial situation is, and choose a little bit and have that dollar bill or that $5 bill or that $100 bill. Put it in an envelope, like a little thank you card or a little card. Go ahead and pre-write a message and be prepared when God puts somebody on your mind to freely give that. And we've done this over and over. Just keep it in your purse and wait. And that's happened so many times where I've had it in my purse and then God says, that's the person. And the interesting thing is we don't know what they're going through. We don't know any situations. We're just finding delight in, all right, Lord, that's who you told me to do it. I'm going to do it. And inside the card, because that's really kind of an awkward thing, somebody could say, no. But in the card, it says, I've been carrying this around and waiting for the person that I feel God puts on my heart, and it's you. So it's a joy to give to you. It's that simple.
Yeah,
You're
I
not
love
wanting a thank you. You're not wanting any explanation. You're just freely giving of your resources. And that has been so much fun to hear the stories about that. But I've also had that done to me. I was having lunch with a friend and I was telling her about my ministry. And this is probably 10 years ago. And she said, hey, I have $100 bill in my purse that I carry around, and I've had it for a very long time, but you're the one. And she gave me $100 bill to help, just to bless me. So I've been on both sides of that, and it's just so freeing to live like that. And we can all do that by starting small. Another time, I remember this sweet lady, we were in a big church and they had a buffet line. She gave me $1 for like a soda.
Mm-hmm.
And for her, that was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember being like I still remember it today.
Right.
That was probably at least 15 years ago because she gave generously of what she had. And that meant a lot.
Right. Well,
to
and
me.
it's, again, like what you're saying is it's not the amount. It's just the generosity and the thought behind it. Like she thought about you. It wasn't $100 like the other friend, but you remember both.
I remember. Yes, exactly right. Very, very good.
Well, what I heard you say that was so good is one thing is we have to always be looking. We have to, when we go somewhere, have that thought in our mind of how can we be helpful? How can we give? Thinking about it ahead, planning ahead, like we've talked about, and then actually having the money set aside. That's another thing that we can plan ahead with is actually having that money always available. Okay, this money is specifically for the purpose of just blessing and giving.
Exactly right. I remember when our kids, a new bank opened up near our home. And so we're so excited to have this bank. I mean, people today don't even use a bank. Everything's online. But back then, this new branch opened up near our home. And I took 6 little children to the bank. They had money boxes, but I was about to teach them a little bit about money. And so they got allowance, and that allowance was based on their age and, the responsibilities, as well as I tied other things into it, like scripture memory and whatever at that time might have been books read or something that I was trying to help motivate that was important in what I was trying to do in the kids' lives. But 6 little kids sat in the little sitting area of the bank with their money boxes, and we were opening up accounts for them. And I also was taking money out in dollar bills for their allowance. And then when we got home, we practiced okay, 10% of these dollars. So if one got $10, we would put $1 in their envelope that went in their money box that said tithe. And then the next envelope was give, and we put money in that. Another one was save. And then another one was spend, like they could just spend it on what they want. But there was a category specifically for their eyes to be set on money is given to you to be used as a blessing to other people. And we would pool that money together and do things, or they might have an idea on their own. I remember one time when Heather was in young elementary school because it was Awana's. And there was a situation where she came home and she said, Mommy, we were sitting on the floor and I think my friend could use new shoes.
Wow.
And so we got the little girl shoes. And then the discussion was, well, how can we bless her with this without it feeling uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm.
And so those are discussions that you can also have. Should it be anonymous? Should it be a place to thank the person? And so anyway, that was a discussion that, we had and you would want to have with your kids because you're really training their little hearts. You saw a need. And I'm so proud of you that you saw how you could be a blessing
Mm-hmm.
to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And all you're doing is trusting God that He put that idea on your mind and you're being obedient to it. And no need for any thanks. Yeah.
This is not about us. This is about the other person. And,
right.
Sometimes when we see somebody who we feel like might need something or need, like, okay, Lord, I feel like this person I just need to give to them. I don't know why, but you've placed them on my heart and I want to give to them financially. Sometimes we can get in our own head a little bit and think, well, what are they going to think? Or what is this going to be weird? Is this going to be awkward? And it puts the focus back on ourselves and we begin to not trust what God has told us. Can you talk about that a little bit about when you feel that or when you hear like that still small voice and that says give or just help them?
Mm-hmm.
How did you get to the place and how do your kids get to the place of just trusting that voice?
Right. I really think it's powerful. And I don't know that most of us have thought to think this way. Why not use the insecurities that we personally are working through as things to teach our children at the same time?
That's good.
For example, it is so common for us to think like we have an idea to do something for someone, but we think, well, I'm not really that good of a friend, or I don't know her that well, or what will she think?
Mm-hmm.
And all of those things, our mind is on who?
Ourselves.
Yeah. And so if we can recognize that every fear we have boils down to, wait a minute, I'm thinking about my own insecurities. If we can train ourselves to catch that thought, bring it captive and say, wait, the opposite of this is just fully trusting God and not worrying about the results. Okay. So I remember really wanting to do better in this, to work through my own insecurities. And so I just started slowly with each time that I recognized a small voice saying a person, an idea, a way to reach out, to just say, okay, I'm going to trust. And I just did that over and over until it becomes a habit. And you're teaching your children to do the same thing. So there's a phrase I've already mentioned. Y'all are going to hear the same phrases over and over on this podcast because they've been important in our lives. And I really think our kids could quote them. But it's expect, period. Trust, period. Obey, period. Expect as a believer with the Holy Spirit guiding you and living inside of you that He's going to pass ideas through your mind and on your heart. And it will be like an idea like, oh, I wasn't thinking that 10 minutes ago. Wow, where'd that come from? He puts a person, He puts an idea, a specific way to help, to go, to serve, to reach out to on your mind. And so expect Him to use you and teach your children to feel the same. You could even be in the car with them, driving, and like, hey, let's ask the Lord to show us somebody to give to pray for, and you just teach them as a lifestyle. That's how we should go about. And then trust that idea, that still small voice was God Himself wanting to use you, wanting to join with you, and then obey. Just do it. And that means put aside all of those but, and what if, and just obey. And you'll experience such joy like you just can't believe, because it is truly fun to walk like that. Well, I can think of, many situations in my journey where the situations were like way bigger than I was comfortable stepping into. So start little, and then God continues to make the situation bigger, and you just still obey. And so one example early on, I wanted to be really faithful with my money. My first commission check was $50. Woohoo! But I'd already prepared, Lord, I want to be faithful with these commission checks. And at that time, we didn't have internet and anything like that. I was walking through church and this lady saw this fuchsia hot pink jacket that I was wearing.
You were fancy.
Oh, girl.
Excuse that.
It sounds terrible right now, but it was the thing. And this lady said, "Oh, that's really pretty. I love it. Where'd you get it?" I went home and ordered it through the catalog, the phone number that you call, and had it sent anonymously to her home. That was so exciting. So in the little things, I did that so many times. Just have an idea, do it. Have an idea, do it. If your children come to you with an idea, do it, right? And then there became bigger and bigger things. I remember a lady going through a very, very hard time, and her husband was out of his work because of his health, and things were very tight. And a friend of mine told me about her, about this situation. And immediately I thought, okay, Lord, what do you want us to do? And I gathered the kids together because as we're learning, let's teach our kids, let's include them in it, point them to Christ. And we gathered around the table and I told them the situation. And by the way, the situation should, as we describe it to the kids, should never feel like pity or looking down on. No, it's a person's situation. And it's just kind of matter of fact. Hey, we can help out this time with realizing it could be us the next time.
Right.
And we want that to be the perspective of, wow, we have the joy of being able to bless her right now. So we talked about, okay, what can we do? And we went in separate rooms and prayed about a dollar amount. And we came back and we said, okay, what everybody come up with? We had the same dollar amount. So we took them to the grocery store. And I said, okay, put things in your cart. And this time the kids, the oldest couple were old enough to push a cart and put things in it. And then we met back up at the register. And of course, the dollar amount was right at that amount that we talked about ahead of time. And the neat thing about this was, unbeknownst to me, my daughter had put in hair ties
Cute.
in her cart.
Oh.
And Diet Dr. Pepper got in there somehow, which was not something at the time that we drank, but it got in the cart. So we put all the kids in the van with all the groceries and then drove up to the house. And it dawned on me, well, how do we get the groceries from the car to her? What do we do? And so we ended up, just praying about it then. And again, sometimes the Lord wants us to be anonymous and sometimes not. And if you'll remind me, I'll share you a non-anonymous story.
Okay.
Because that's part of my prayer every time is, Lord, how do you want us to give at this point? And so it was so sweet to watch all the kids quietly run out of the car and put things on the place. I can't remember if it was at the front door or if we put things in the car. The front door was
cute.
open.
Yeah.
Anyway, I remember, even that being like, well, let's just do it. Let's just trust God. And it was so sweet to see them carrying little things. Well, later, my friend told me, hey, my friend got groceries delivered to her and they even had her favorite drink in there. And how the people knew that her daughters needed hair ties, we'll never know.
Oh,
and that was an accident that we left those in the bag because Alexis had put those in the bag for herself. And I thought that was so God, how that happened. And that was a real blessing. So the part about the anonymous thing is, how we had the kids had their own envelopes that said give. Well, we prayed about who we could give to at Christmas time, and a person came to mind. It was a lady whose husband had left her, and she had 4 little children. So the kids and I told them about the situation. Again, I'm telling it to the kids as a way not of cutting anyone down or having pity, but in a way of, this is hard right now for her. How can we help? And how can we love her well through a challenging time? So we decided we'd all buy a Christmas present for each one of the family members and then put some money in an envelope for the mom. Well, the problem was we never, ever saw this person.
Oh, wow.
We didn't go to the same church. We weren't even in the same city.
Oh, yeah.
We did not see her, but we wrapped the presents and everything, put them in the back of my car and told the kids, well, we're just going to have to pray about how to get them
Figure
to her.
it out.
So we had them in the back of my car and we were at a Christmas party at my friend's house. The doorbell rang and I got the door. Who do you think was at the door?
No way.
Her. And I said, hey, follow me to my car. And I opened the door and there were gifts for each of her children. And an envelope for her with their names on it.
That's awesome.
How about that?
That's awesome.
And so that particular time, it was not anonymous. And I'm sure God used that He certainly deepened my kids' walk with Him and the joy of giving when they experienced that happening.
That is so good. It goes back to expect, trust, and obey. And that little phrase, again, just a little phrase, it's not just about this. That phrase can carry on to a lot of different situations. But when you do expect, trust, and obey, then your eyes are just always open to whatever might come your way. And like you said, okay, we have no idea how this is going to work out. We expected, we trusted, and obeyed. He doesn't need for us to do this. He can use anybody.
Yeah, you're right.
But we have the privilege to partner with Him. And we're the ones that are going to get the blessing from doing what we've done. And so that's amazing.
And one of
I love that.
the beautiful blessings of the whole thing is deepening your faith in Christ and your walk with Him. You walk so closely with Him that you're just expecting to commune with Him. Like, Lord, just use me. And the more we obey, the more we hear Him talk to us about ideas.
It gets easier.
Mm-hmm. And it's as we go. It's and everyone's path in life is different. For some, it's your kids are in baseball. Others, your kids are in ballet. Some of you, lead at the PTA, and some of you work full time, and it's the people you're around. And we're in different churches, and we have different callings on our lives. Some work, in the human trafficking ministry where they're helping women, and their ministry is beautiful. Others are helping women who suffer from eating disorders. I mean, God has usually a lot of times out of our own crisis comes a ministry, right?
That's so
or
true.
Out of our own journey in life comes a passion for a certain people group or population, or, it's just really interesting to see the different types of ministry God uses. And, we trust Him in small things, and He brings bigger opportunities to us that we've already learned how to walk with Him and trust Him.
Mm-hmm. That's so good. We could talk about giving financially, and I know that we're going to come back to that another time, but let's move on to how about giving our talents? God has given all of us gifts, talents. Tell us about a way that we can kind of look outside the box maybe a little bit and change our perspective. And instead of just giving financially, which is huge, really important, how can we give of our gifts and talents?
I think it's important as your kids are growing up, once you have this perspective of, wait, everything we have could be used to help others, to bless others, and also as a way of teaching. So if your child is a really good drummer, well, let's look for opportunities. He could be in the praise band at church, or he could teach other kids how to drum. He could use that in some capacity. If you have one that is a singer or plays a violin, just basically say, Lord, give me an idea of how we could use this skill, this talent they have to serve others. Not just keep it for themselves or use it for a particular industry, but give me creative ideas. And he might give you an idea of go to the nursing home, just volunteer to play there. Or maybe your child is in sports. I remember ours loving upward basketball, and quite a few of them really were athletic and loved it. Well, as they got into their teen years for that particular program, they could help coach the little ones. So they're investing back into other people in the area of a talent and a skill that they have. So just kind of take a look at the makeup of those in your family, starting with yourself and your husband. And you might think, I don't really have a talent. I'm not musical or athletic, but you do. And it might take you really saying, Lord, would you show that to me? Because I really don't see it. He might give you ideas that you never thought of before, such as you're really good at holding babies.
Exactly.
Or you really know how to connect people at events. Or you're very good with details. And so you could manage the records for some kind of ministry going on. Or you're a seamstress. There's lots of places that need help with sewing, and even just your talent of maybe you've been homeschooling before and now you're not. And maybe there's families around you where the mothers would absolutely love for you to come over once a week or periodically to help her with math or to read with certain kids or even to take certain kids to lunch. Or maybe you're Miss Manners and you absolutely love etiquette. Well, there's people that would love to have their kids learn about etiquette as well as probably themselves. Can you please volunteer for me over here? And so talent goes beyond what we normally think.
That goes back to you saying, Lord, give me creative ideas. Because when we think of a talent, our mind immediately goes to, what do people do in a talent show? Those are the...
I can juggle.
Exactly. Like, you're thinking about anything that you could see on America's Got Talent. Like, think outside that. Think of, because just like you're saying, like etiquette, teaching etiquette or holding a baby or a seamstress, like, no, that can't be done in a talent show. But those are talents. Those are gifts that people are wanting help in that area. But if you pray and ask the Lord, okay, give me better ideas. Help me to see some needs that I can fill and that are my gifts and are my talents that you can use.
Absolutely. I think there's probably a lot of people listening that think, please, somebody help me organize my house.
It's huge.
And then there's people listening that are so gifted at that. And you might even think, well, isn't everybody? No, they're not.
Yeah.
And it would be so helpful. What if you are a great writer and you know somebody's writing a book and struggling with it, or you see somebody that has a book to be written and you could volunteer to come alongside them. Hey, I'll help. I'll be your ghostwriter, or I'll help you get your thoughts organized. That's a gift. Just ask the Lord, show me ways that you've designed me uniquely.
Well, and go back to what we were talking about a little bit with money. I feel like somebody's going to hear this and say, oh, that's something I haven't ever thought of. I really am good at organizing. And I know somebody that I can help. And immediately what's going to pop in their head is, I don't want to make them feel bad. Or that's going to be so awkward if I go to them and I'm going to say, hey, I know you're having a hard time organizing. Let me come and help you. Like, I'm really good at it. And so I want to be able to come alongside you and organize. Immediately, you might think, oh gosh, that's going to make me, I don't want to look like I know what I'm doing and they don't. And I don't want to make them feel bad. But that is expect, trust, obey.
Right.
And I think that people would be surprised that once they do it, people are like, how soon can you come over? Can you come tonight? And sometimes people don't even know what they need. But when you say that, when you say, hey, I love just holding babies. My mom is great about this. I love holding babies. Do you need a babysitter? Hey, do you want me to come over and just
give y'all
hold
a date
your
night
baby while you take a shower or while you're trying to get your kid to school or while you have to go on a field trip with your other child? And they're like, yeah. I mean, they didn't even know that they had that need. Maybe they didn't even know to ask. But once you say it to them, huge.
You're right. Yes.
That's really good.
I remember traveling, like when I say traveling, just getting in the car and going somewhere in town. So we were riding somewhere and the idea popped in my head that this particular friend I had mentioned to me about how overwhelmed she was. And I was like, Lord, what can we do to help her? Could you just give me a creative idea? Just tell me what it is. And he said, just go clean her house. That's not my favorite thing to do, but okay, this is an opportunity.
I want somebody to come clean my house.
Are you sure you didn't mean for her to come clean mine? So I, talked with the girls about it. And I said, okay, we got home and I said, just gather items. So they got a vacuum cleaner, broom, cleaning supplies. And that was going to be awkward to go to that person's house and, not anonymously, but spur of the moment and say, hey, cleaning crew has arrived. But we went over there. And again, training ahead as we were traveling, I was saying, she's just overwhelmed right now. And I've been that way too. And I really believe a reset of her house could really be a blessing to her. And she was a good friend. And so we went over there, knocked on her door, and she answered. And I said, hey, I know that life is really hard right now. We just want to be a blessing to you. Would you be okay if we clean your house? You can be in your room if you want, or you could tell us exactly the spaces you'd like cleaned. And that's what we did.
That's so good.
And it was so precious to see a vacuum cleaner going and somebody sweeping and somebody else cleaning the sink and indexing different windows and whatnot. And then another one that was really gifted with organizing was just like being respectful of her property and all, and asking really good questions like, is there anything in this room that you would like for me to organize or put away? And she was just, her spirit was lifted. But haven't we all been there when life circumstances are very hard? And then on top of that, we're still supposed to manage a home and things, we let it go a little too long.
Oh, gosh.
And then we feel like, I don't even know how to begin. And one of the things we did was we got our laundry caught up. That can lift anybody's spirits little bit.
For sure.
You know? And we got that done. And it was a privilege.
A reset. Just a reset.
Yes. And the joy was ours to do it.
For sure. We could spend a lot of time talking about this. So we're going to continue this conversation next week with giving time, giving, again, more about giving talents. So thank you so much. Please continue to rate, review, share the podcast with a friend. Thank you guys so much for just spending time with us. We really appreciate it.
And until next time, keep cultivating hearts and homes for Christ.
Bye. Thanks for spending this time with us today. We hope you're walking away encouraged and equipped with something simple you can put into practice right where you are. Remember, it's the small, faithful choices that shape the atmosphere of your home. So wherever you are today, keep cultivating hearts and homes for Christ.